What is going on, guys? Welcome back. I know we got some people coming on here. I'll wait about 30 seconds just before we get started. Super excited to do another live puck drop here. A smaller slate, only 4 games, but I really do like the 4 games from a cash perspective. I feel like I can get a pretty good handle on where we want to target, and we will talk about that today here on this show. So if you are hopping on and you are a new subscriber, you are not somebody who has subscribed to our channel, we are, let me check at the very moment, we are six subscribers away from 2,000. And I know if you are in our email list at Fantasy Sports Insight, you already got that coupon deal in anticipation of hitting that 2,000 subscribers mark. So like I said, we have a 4-game slate here. We are going to get started, and I will get started with the odds. And again, I do want to thank Fantasy Labs for having such a great free feature for us to use for DFS research. And this is kind of a spot, like I mentioned before, that I always start my research. And I think it's somewhere that you should start yours too, honestly, because it is a spot that you're not only seeing the opening lines, but you're also seeing the movement and everything that goes along with it. So here I do have it sorted by the highest implied total. The Hurricanes come in with a 3.5 implied total. Vancouver with a 3.4 implied total. And then we get to the Oilers and the Flames, and then followed up by the Panthers and the Jets. So I think in general, and you'll see this here in a second, there's 2 games with a 6.5 total. I think those are the games that we like to target, and then you can target one with a really high over or implied total as well. So we go to the over-unders here. We have the Oilers and Calgary are both 6.5 total, and then the Jets and Vancouver are also 6.5 total. And let's just take a look at the money line. Florida Panthers coming in at -175 right now, with just a slight edge over Carolina at -170. And then after that, it is like completely pick 'em. It is a pick 'em with the Oilers and Calgary, a pick 'em with the Jets and the Canucks. So I think you can go ahead and target those bigger teams. The only worry I have with like targeting Florida in cash is we'll get to it, but I mean the in total is only 5.5, so they are expected to win in like a 3-2 format. Give me McDavid or give me death. Yeah, I think in a 4-game slate, if you are going to just fade McDavid, then you might be given death, at least in cash. So let's get to the slate here. I'm going to pull up my Draftkings lineup page. I'll switch this up. All right, and I'm going to go position by position as I did yesterday. Love the shout outs in the chat. Like if I pronounce somebody's name wrong, or you just have somebody that like I looked over and you really like. So make sure to throw out any of those fun comments in the chat. It's a great way to make this a little bit more interactive too. So let's start at the center position, and to nobody's surprise, he's the most expensive player on the slate, Conor McDavid. I think just on a 4-game slate, even in a like quote unquote like not as easy as a matchup for these, especially for this division right now, honestly, that I think somebody McKinley, one of our new staff members in the NHL chat at our just said like this division is just going to like shatter all of these records, and historians are going to hate it because you're going to have McDavid and Austin Matthews like putting up like insane totals this year just based on the styles of plays with these teams. So Conor McDavid, 20 plus in both his last 2 games. He did have the 1 game against Ottawa with no points, and they won. I think it was the first game I read that the Oilers won without Tricidal or McDavid having an actual point. So kind of insane. I think just the floor of like already he, has an assist at least built in. And then now this year he has a relatively better shot floor than he has in the past. In the last 3 games, he's got 5, 7, and 7. So, and he's had games earlier on in the year with 6 and things like that. So I think the shot on goal total is enough to still give him a cash floor. So McDavid will be probably one of my first guys in any cash build that I build today. And then you have Leon Draisaitl, who just like kind of always goes he does go under owned relative to McDavid, but just kind of overlooked in general. His shot floor is lower, but he is, a goal scorer. He's got 10 goals in 18 games this year. The one we really want to like pair him and McDavid together is when you want to pair them together is when they like last year, a lot of times they played together on the same line, which was kind of fun, but we haven't really seen that this season. I'm new to NHL stacking or picking your favorites. How do you want to make lineups? I think I'll say this, like correlation is important, right? Like you want, if you're going to have McDavid score a goal, okay, I would prefer also if I have like Barrie or Nurse or Ryan Nugent Hopkins, I would prefer to have another piece of that goal rather than hoping McDavid scores 2 goals and then also Draisaitl also scores 2 goals. Like to somehow like that scenario is less likely that both of those guys not skating together will do that, right? So likely you wouldn't play Draisaitl with McDavid when their prices are so close. They will correlate like on power play, so you can get there with a build like that. But yeah, that's kind of where like correlation is important and stacking, but I think that's more important in GPP. And I do think the scoring change that took place last year that benefits cash players like me, where I'm looking for shot floor and block shots, those bonuses that are added in, a five shot on goal bonus and a 3 block shot bonus, like those are more appealing. You can play cash players on an island more frequently with success than having to fully stack. Yes, these plays work on FanDuel as well. The pricing obviously can definitely be a little bit different in terms of, who's as good of a value. And we'll get to that here in a second. So let's continue on here. Draisaitl, probably GPP only for me. Mark Scheifele, has had a phenomenal season. A guy who's playing like 20 plus ice minutes every time. Still lately hasn't had the shot floor, as you can see here, but just is so active in the power play and all their scoring chances. So, and Vancouver is obviously been a team to target this season. So he is definitely in play. Barkov being the biggest favorite of the slate, I think will actually be a pretty popular stack, stacking the power play like him and Hornquist and Huberdeau and maybe Ekblad. But 6,700, I don't love the total of the game only being 5.5. That's a little bit scary. I think then at that point, I prefer just to go down to the home favorite of Carolina and Aho just continuing to be too cheap, finally getting back to his form. I think how low did he dip? 5,800 at one point. But just a player that on a regular basis should be high 6, low 7K. But Aho, I really like. Jordan Staal and Trocheck. I mean, all these guys for Carolina I can't believe they're all priced out. I can't believe Jordan Staal is 6,000. I mean, the form is insane. He's got 5 goals in his last 4 games. I'm seeing a lot of ice time. Still, there's not really a lot of shot, volume. So if you just all of a sudden see him put up like 3 DK tonight, then I think, don't be like completely alarmed, because I do think he is overpriced, especially when he's priced so closely to like much better players like Trocheck and Aho. And I'm going to pull up left wing lock on my phone here quick, just to double check. I don't think the lines changed at all for Carolina. But if you do not have the app, I highly recommend it. Or if you use Daily Faceoff, that's fine too. I just really like using the app of left wing lock. So on the top line, we have Aho, Teravainen, and McGinn. On the second line, we have Niederreiter, Trocheck, and Necas. And then on the third line, Staal, I think it's Fogelli, and Snechnikov. So Staal is, third line. I mean, he's getting the ice time, but probably a pass for me. I do really like Elias Lindholm in what is going to be probably one of the best DFS games is Edmonton and Calgary. He had a stinker the last game, but you go back earlier in the season, like he was consistently, he's got 2 to 3 shots on goal, plays a ton of ice time. 5,800 is a really nice value for him. Dylan Larkin is probably GPP only for me as well. Let's go down here a little bit further. Strome, 4,300. It could be a punt, but he's been pretty bad lately. Stastny, Backlund are viable. Monahan, 4,900. Really rare to see him under 5K, but again, he is one that is low floor usually, as you see a lot of dud games in here, even with an assist. So, but he would pair up with Johnny Hockey. at the winger position, who I'll talk about in a little bit. Let's see some value here. Wenberg's been playing decent lately, getting quite a bit of ice time. And but another guy, like you look at the shot on goal total and the block shot, like he doesn't really have a floor, but he does have some goal and assist equity when you're out there skating with. I think he's with Huberdeau. Let me double check their lines as well. I think he's with Huberdeau and probably somebody's name I can't pronounce. Yeah, Wenberg. Oh no, Huberdeau and Hornquist. Yeah, I mean that's a great. I mean he's a great value play to stack there with them. Otherwise, center position per usual is not really that great. Yeah, Horvat's 5K. I guess he's really goal or assist dependent. Doesn't have a floor. So, all right, let's move on to the winger position. Who's skating with Lindholm? Lindholm is Tkachuk and somebody I will not be able to pronounce his name, but Mangiapane. I know he's had a really phenomenal season, and yeah, there you go. Thanks, David. I know he's had a really good season, and he will be one of my potential value plays here at the winger position, but I don't know how to pronounce his name. So Patrick Kane, again, goes overlooked every slate, but game in, game out, one of the best cash players on the slate. DeBrinket's price still, to me, seems a little bit high, and then he just goes up and puts 20. So he is somebody who also has a great shot floor. I mean, look at the games. I mean, 6, 3, 4, 3, 7, 6. I mean, he's flirting with that 5 shot on goal game, almost every game. Nugent Hopkins has been a lot better in form. The last 2 games, he's got 50 DK between the two. Now, he would be a play you could fully correlate with Mangiapane. Thank you. So if you get any entertainment out of this, I hope you get it when I am attempting to pronounce these names. So love it. All right. Yeah, Nugent Hopkins, like somebody asked before about stacking, like he would be a guy that you're going to get full correlation with McDavid and, on even strength and in the power play. So Ehlers has had a phenomenal season. 6,800 is a nice price tag for that game environment as well. And look at the shot. He's got a huge shot on floor as well. Like Ehlers, Gaudreau, Besser. Somebody that keep overlooking. I don't know why. Like I know he's going to be he's a phenomenal player. But just the last 3 games, you're combining for what, like 60, 70 DK and he's got a decent floor and now he's got a pretty good matchup against a weak Winnipeg team. So like him there too. Kyle Connor's in play. Like all these mid-range wingers are really in play. And that's why, like, when you have to consider these builds, thanks, Dan. Mangiapane. There we go. Thank you. So this is where your construction, like say you just say, I'm going to fade McDavid, right? And you're going to go Lindholm and you're going to go like Aho. No, let's go Aho. Just hypothetically here. And then now you want to pair Lindholm. You could go with a GPP pair, a power play pairing with Gaudreau, or you could pair him with Tkachuk. And then maybe you go Aho with Teravainen. Actually, I wouldn't even go with Teravainen. I would go with McGinn, who's still pretty cheap at 4K. Like these kind of builds are the ones that are taking down GPPs when you don't have Austin Matthews, scoring 40 DK in a night or McDavid scoring 30. So I think it's just a lot more risky on a 4-game slate to take that kind of approach in cash because if he does go nuclear, which is definitely possible, you need to have some really good games out of these wingers, but which I think is definitely possible. And then you get down to somebody like Johnny Gaudreau. I'm all over the place. Huberdeau, you can pair with Wenberg and Hornquist, and he's had 2 phenomenal games. The last game, he had the overtime winner against Carolina. I think he had the game tying goal as well. So great form there. Teravainen is fine to pair with, but he has less of a floor. I think he had like 2 games in a row he went off, but he just doesn't really shoot the puck, so he really needs the goal or the assist. Puljujarvi, 4,900 has been a correlated play as well with McDavid and even strength, so he's definitely in play. Nino Niederreiter, 4,800. I mentioned him. If you're going to stack him with Trocheck, former Wild, always got to find a way to get a Wild shout out in any of these streams, right? And here is the name. Let me check back here. Mangiapane, right there. 4,600. Lock him in for the best game of his season. So he needs what, like 15 DK. Well, he's done pretty well so far. 5 goals this year, so definitely worth considering him. Some value here, Necas and McGinn. And McGinn is somebody I've been playing a lot lately, and he's been super cheap. But a game of 34, obviously I don't expect that. But even these games here where he's had double digits and had a goal in 4 straight. But even if you're getting, 2 to 3 shots on goal and a potential at a goal or an assist at that price tag in a great matchup at home against Chicago is a nice spot. Frank Patrano is another guy I absolutely love in cash in terms of value. He always is putting shots on goal. And even had a goal in 3 straight there recently. So, and also in a great matchup against Detroit. 2 goals per night. There you go. Manny G. Oh, this is great. Bobby Ryan, 3,500, I think is just going to pop if you're using any kind of optimizer or projections model because of, where he skates. His picture is like one of the worst on DK, but yeah, I think he always is going to be. I think I keep seeing him pop up in a lot of sharp, GPP lineups, shark players that are, that are using optimizers because he always seems to pop just with where he's at in the lines. Fogelli, another guy I know people in our Discord have been using as well. A decent value play, seeing a little bit less ice time than somebody like McGinn, so not as exciting. We got Cahoon as well, who's just kind of blah, but he skates with Tricidal. Other than that, there's nobody I don't think that I like completely missed on. If there's another value play that I'm like just totally blanking on, you can throw it in the chat. I don't know who is the fifth wheel on the Edmonton power play tonight. Chiasan. I bet you he's dirt cheap, but he is going to be on line 4, and he is 2,500. So there is your super mega cheap value. Look at that. And he had 2 goals against Winnipeg. And I think he is still on the 4th line. Yeah, he is. So how as a coach do you go I know Lucic always got this treatment too. It's like, hey, Chiasan, you're good enough to be on the power play, but we really don't want you on the ice at all other than that. So I don't know. Maybe he's just good at screening the net and standing in front of him. That's what Lucic was always good at. And then he'd somehow get a couple goals. So, and he's right here. I know this year too, he's popped up on the top power play unit with these guys. Whatever. I'm not all about the guys that skate 4th line, but get a little bit of power play time. Give me some more equity than that. All right. Defense. One of my favorite positions in NHL DFS because of floor. Tyson Barrie. Probably one of my core favorite plays on the slate. He's just been, he's on the top power play over Nurse right now, even though I love Nurse as well. Has hit the 5 shot on goal bonus a ton. Loves to shoot from the blue line. Is super active on the power play. So 6,200. I think he's just as safer. And this is when I'm talking about defensemen paying up. Okay, you look at Nurse and Barrie's price. So 6,200 and 5,800. Okay, if I go to the winger position, do I feel more now, the upside is obviously probably more with Huberdeau, Hornquist, Tkachuk. Those guys have a little bit more upside. But if I'm going to pay 6,000 for Tkachuk, who I think has a way lower floor, as you can see, okay, than somebody like Nurse or Barrie, but the prices are the same, so you just have to figure out how you can quantify how much you're spending on the defenseman compared to the wingers. That's why this year I think the trend just continues to be that the value is at the winger position. So, and I'm going to keep running with that. I know you can get some block bonuses from some of these cheap guys here, but I do have. I know you guys are waiting for one more guy I'm going to mispronounce, and it's going to be the other Flames defenseman that I'll get to in here in a second. But Giordano is probably GPP only for me. Oh, I can't skip over Dougie Hamilton. He's one of my favorite cash plays per usual as well. The last 2 games, just not as much ice time, and I don't know if they took a lot of penalties because I know he's not on the PK. But 6,800 feels a little bit pricey for me when I prefer Nurse and Barrie. Darnell Nurse, one of my favorites as well. Always in play for a great floor and always super active on the offense. So let's get down to some value here. Pesci is also a guy that is now, I wish, still down here, 3,300, 3,400, but look at the time on ice. He's, over 22 in his last 4 games, but always over 20. Definitely is in play for the block bonus, but also can get active in the assists. Who else? Alexander Edler, just crazy to me. 3,900. Finally getting the ice time back up. If he could ever get back on the power play, then I think, I'd really like him. But Edler's fine at 3,900. I'm sure he pops in people's models as well, just because of his time on ice and his peripheral stats. Tyler Myers I like as well too. He's kind of in the same situation, but I think Myers is actually on the second power play unit. Here he is, Juuso Valimaki. That's that wasn't too bad, right? Yeah, exactly, David. You knew who was coming, right? He has been on the top power play the last, I think, since Monday for the Flames. So I think he's definitely in play. I still don't think he's on the top power play, he's like automatically a play. But I think you're getting, yes, good, David. You're getting more equity in terms of goal and assist when he's going to get that power play time. So definitely think he's viable at 3,600. Shea, I know somebody corrected me on him before. Decent punt, 3,200. He's not going to get you 0. He's always got a chance for a block shot bonus there. So 3,200 is not bad for him. Forward, gosh, I loved him in LA when he was like an auto block bonus guy, but hasn't been that way this year for Winnipeg. I don't know, maybe just not enough time on ice. Other than that, DeMello has been a decent value recently. Ooh, the ice time went really down on him. Pass on him. Other than that, Hanfinen has been decent as well. Not that great. Zadorov, 2,900. Yeah, he's more playable probably for me for the Blackhawks. But in general, I don't know that you need to punt way down here at defense. I think if I'm just kind of putting a shell build together, I could definitely see myself starting with something like this and then using a value like Man G or McGinn and kind of like building from there. And then I don't know for sure, but something like that. And then at goalie, you guys know I love goalie so much. If you think Edmonton wins, I think 7,100 for Mike Smith, even though their defense has been atrocious, and so is their goaltending. But if you think there's some win equity there, then I don't mind running Mike Smith for that price. In basically a pick'em game, I think there's probably value in paying 7,100 for him. If you want to pay for a Lankinen assist that he had last game, and plus the shutout against Detroit, yeah, I think Lankinen's save prop is like 30. So, I mean, he's definitely going to see a lot of shots on goal. Demko is probably going to see a ton of shots on goal as well. Vancouver just giving up a ton, but don't really love him. So I think you're probably paying up for Reimer or you're going down to like Smith. Dreider is fine too, but I don't love paying up for road goalies like that. So, yeah. Any other questions? Bouchard for Edmonton. What is Zadina? Let's see where these guys at. I know Zadina is a phenomenal player. He just has got to get the role. Yeah, he is. Zadina is skating with Larkin and Brom. What is Brom at? Or is it Brome? Probably. He's got to be min price, 2,800. Yeah, I mean, he's actually playing some ice time, but Zadina. $3,600, definitely viable. I didn't see him that cheap. Looks like he's just like a matter of time before he actually starts producing there. But yeah, I definitely don't mind him. Bouchard, that was the other one I was going to look up. Bouchard is somebody that I've always considering before, but he is the third D pairing and second power play. So, I mean, if it gets to that second power play, Tim, I think he's fine. Yeah, I think they like change up their lines a lot in the middle, but if there's any other DK questions, like shoot them out. Otherwise, I'm going to flip over quickly to Monkey Knife Fight because there's a couple plays I like over there. Any head-to-head tips? I would not fade McDavid in a head-to-head. When I play head-to-heads, and if you have not checked out my head-to-head video, I like to block 10 guys from the lobby that I think are most likely to be the best on the slate, and then I like to post games, especially like in NHL. it's kind of borderline. It's pretty tough to block all 10 that I want to block. So I try to go for like the tiers or the showdowns when I do the block and post. Where in the classic slates, I'm more apt to just try to snipe some guys with no badges or guys that are not regular players. But I think on this slate in head-to-head, you probably want to go McDavid and then try to play floor plays like Barrie and Nurse, and then mix in some value. But you will see a lot of sharp head-to-head players use 3 defensemen because defensemen just naturally have the highest floors on the slate. So I'm going to jump over to Monkey Knife Fight, and then we'll sign out, and then I'll get the core plays up for our premium subscribers here at Monkey Knife Fight, or at FSI. So if you are on the channel, I should mention this really quick. We are like 5 subscribers away from 2,000. So if you are not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and help us out get to that 2K. Yeah, we're still 6 away. 6 away. So last night we played Putting Up Points. I don't know if you tailed it at all, but I had Matthews, Marner, and Ovechkin. They went over like in the first period. In this matchup, I think in this slate, I would go McDavid, Tricidal, and then choosing between Patrick Kane or even Huberdeau. You have to use one player from a different team. So say you go Patrick Kane, you need these 3 guys to combine for 3 points. If you go 250 to win 100, you profit 125. You think they combine for 4, you double your money, you triple your money if they can go for 5. So I think this is in play. It's not as great as last night, but I think it's in play. I like Barkov here over 4.5 fantasy points. I like Barrie over. Trocheck, I think I like under. I think he's still too goal assist dependent. Nurse, I like over. I think my favorite one, though, if I can find, I think it's in Carolina, Chicago. I really like Lankinen over here. If you have a strong take on Dougie Hamilton, I think I would lean like slightly under, but he can definitely put up 5. I think 4 is like the magic number for him. I think they switched him up on me. And they do tend to do that, but let's see if we get Duncan Keith. I don't like. Yeah, they switched it up. It was Suter and Stahl at like 2.5 and 3.5 earlier today. Wasn't able to jump on them in time, but yeah. Other than that, I think should be a fun slate tonight. So hopefully, you guys are able to use this money. Like Johnny Gaudreau is really low here at 3.5, in my opinion. Giordano, I'd take like all these guys over, honestly. Lindholm might be a little bit close if he doesn't get a goal or an assist, but yeah. All right, guys, signing out. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.